Made some post-game comments to Jeff after the San Jose game. I was on the radio this morning just talking a little bit about a little bit of the state of the program. I know those are very popular kind of questions and thoughts for people to kind of talk about. So I'll answer those if you have them. For now, for me, we're obviously getting ready for Colorado State. Very good basketball team coming off a really, really big win. They've had a heck of a year. They have an amazing big man in Nico Carvacho. He'll be an all-conference player, poses a lot of problems in a myriad of ways. He's a terrific rebounder. I think everybody knows that, but he's also scoring at a really great rate. Field goal percentage is through the roof, particularly his two-point field goal percentage, and really made them a very good offensive basketball team. They have 5 guys inside the top 40 offensively in our league right now, which is terrific. It's terrific balance to kind of have those kinds of weapons kind of up and down the lineup, and they're a very good offensive basketball team. Page is obviously having a terrific kind of senior year to finish off his career at Colorado State with Carvacho in the middle. They got a freshman in Thistlewood that's playing really good. Kendall Moore is another one. Bonner's back from injury, and those are 5 guys really in the top 40 offensively in our league. So you can see why they're kind of having the year that they're having and getting a lot out of the guys that they have. So very, very good opponent, very credible opponent coming in on Saturday. And that's really kind of our focus here heading into practice today is improving, obviously, on some things we need to improve on in general, but then obviously, trying to do what we can to stop Colorado State.
They're not deep. Can you speed up the tempo and try to wear them down a little bit?
I think our depth is something that I really want to be a strength for us, and I'm hoping at some point it's going to be. Unfortunately, that really hasn't gone as according to plan as we would have liked, and we've probably gone back and forth between playing more minutes for certain guys and less for others than we would have intended. And they may not necessarily be deep in their overall numbers, but I think they do have very good balance on their roster with regards to just kind of offensive production. So hopefully over the course of the game, those things will maybe come into our favor in general, but I don't know if going into the game that's necessarily kind of priority number one.
Coach, you have games left. Some people have lost hope.
Yeah.
Have you lost hope? Have your players lost hope? With games ahead, doesn't that give you that opportunity to say to yourself, we can get this done?
At the end of the day, Henry, it's a one game at a time philosophy. I've always been that way. I was lucky enough one time to win 20 games in a row as a coach, and we never talked about it. I never talked about anything more than that, and that's the other end of the spectrum. At the time, you're just, hey, let's just get ready for the next game and do everything we can and let things kind of take care of themselves, however they happen to do that. Right now, obviously, it's a little bit of the other way, but I think it's still the same approach. You go into the next game, you give it everything you got, you lay it all out there, you put the best game plan you can together, you get the kids to the best place you think you can get them to win that game, and then when that game's over, you kind of move on to the next one. So to me, there's not necessarily 3 games left or whatever happens to be left. There's Colorado State on Saturday, and that's the goal, and that's all we're going to kind of work on for the next couple days.
That's what you're focusing on, but do you think your players are just kind of on cruise control a little bit, just gearing up for the Mountain West tournament?
I don't think so. But again, like I've mentioned to a few people, I don't know. Like I don't want to sit here and say I know something when there might be an outside observation, qualitative or quantitative, that judges something on our team that might be more accurate than my assessment. I don't believe they're that way. Does that mean that's entirely true? I don't know. I would hope not. Right now, the focus is Colorado State for Saturday.
This is your second season with the Lobos. Both seasons have been 2 of the worst seasons on record. What's your plan moving forward to try to win over some of these fans, to try to get them back?
Well, obviously last year I think was an okay year, particularly considering where the season started. We did finish 3rd and go to the conference championship game, but this season came in with much different expectations than that season. That season didn't start out very well, but I thought we kind of worked our way through it and finished with a relatively good year. This year to this point, I would say, is a relatively poor year. How we finish will obviously finalize that judgment. But right now the goal is Colorado State. I think some bigger picture things I have talked a little bit about. I do take full responsibility for it. There's really no one else or no thing else to point the finger at other than me. And right now the goal is Colorado State on Saturday.
The team was really struggling shooting three-pointers, especially during that second half. how do you coach someone like Anthony Mathis, who has shown a lot of potential to just bounce back in the next game? And also, how were you feeling about those shot selections?
Yeah, I think overall, we had more points in the paint than they did. We got the ball in, and that didn't necessarily feel that way during the game because they were scoring around there quite a bit as well. But I thought we got a lot of good inside touches. We had a lot of great layup opportunities, free throw opportunities, and three-point opportunities. And that's really how we try and build what we do offensively, layups, threes, and free throws. Unfortunately, they just didn't happen to go down. The free throws didn't go down, the layups didn't go down, and the threes didn't go down. So I didn't really look at the game and think, man, we took a lot of challenge two-point jumpers or we took way too many threes as opposed to something else. I thought overall the shot selection was pretty good. The execution was not. So that might lead you to kind of question some of the shot selection, but even after watching the film, I didn't feel awful about it. Our turnovers, to me, were much more critical to the outcome than our shot selection was.
Two quick ones. One is Dane's update. Is Dane available this weekend?
Do not know. I met with Dane this morning, and he was talking about maybe trying to work his way back for Saturday, and I told him the same thing I told him the last time we did this, that I want you back and back. I don't want you back and then out again. We did that last time. Hindsight being 2020, I wouldn't have brought you back, or I wouldn't have agreed to allow you to return as quickly as you did, only to have it flare up again later. We need to get you back permanently. If we can't get you to that point by Vegas, then you have to make the decision yourself of, okay, then I'm just going to go at whatever it happens to be, or whatever that happens to be, I'm not going to be able to give enough to kind of help the team. And I've left that up to him and the trainer at this point, and we'll just kind of go with however that plays out.
The other one was, you've been a coach that has shown you're willing to bench players for a variety of reasons. Maybe not obvious to the fans or to the media sometimes,
Sure.
But you'll bench them if you see something going on. In a game, I know you don't want them thinking about shots they shouldn't take or that they're going to get a quick hook.
Yeah.
I know that was something that was complained about a lot here previous to you.
Yeah.
Players looking over their shoulders. What will you pull a player for during a game? I mean, defensively, it sometimes seems there are lapses that players don't get benched for,
Yep.
and certainly a lot of missed shots that players don't get benched for. What will you bench a player for in a game?
Yeah, I think a missed or a made shot, I don't think I would ever bench a player for. If a player misses 2 free throws, he's not coming out. If a player misses a shot that I think is a good shot, they're not coming out. I don't really can think of any moments where I did. If there was something fundamentally that went into that shot, whether it went in or not, there are times they come out. There are times a player, even if they make a shot that I didn't find a good one, they have been pulled. There are things that go into a shot, be it how many passes or inside out or whether they dribbled the ball before or not, or again, they may get subbed for a situation like that. But inevitably those kinds of substitutions become judgment calls in my mind on the fly. I don't think we have a ton of those. Most of ours are really geared around how many minutes they've been out there, how they're doing, what their energy level looks like, what their energy level seems to be outputting, and then kind of assessing it from there. If so-and-so's been out for 3.5, 4 minutes and they look good, usually that's something we assess right then and there. Hey, how long's he been out for? He's been 4 minutes. Okay, he looks good. Let's keep going. Or it's been 4.5 minutes and we need to get him one. So to me, I'd say 80 to 90% of our substitutions are based on that energy level, output, stamina, minutes played, as opposed to a specific thing in the game. But we also do sub them for things that may have been a point of emphasis over the past couple of days, or things that we constantly preach that maybe aren't getting executed in that moment.
And do you feel you've done that defensively this year?
Unfortunately, this year I think we've done it for a lot of different things. I think last year's team was pretty simple in some ways, in that it was very standard. There was a lot of uniformity amongst our players. There was a lot of uniformity amongst maybe their talent levels, their experience level, whatever it may be, and we were able to probably do a lot of things that were standard across the board. I think this year a lot of kind of weaknesses on our team has kind of emerged, where we've had to, all of a sudden a missed box out, we're going to sub for missed box outs, or one pass shots, or over dribbling, or whatever it may be, and that's unfortunately been a moving target this year. It's one I always explain to the guys, but even they're probably like, geez, now it's that, and I've been moving around on a lot of different things, trying to kind of shore up areas and letting them know that playing time will be kind of dictated on that.
talked about playing guys less minutes. Is Vladimir one of those guys? Because this is my opinion now. He looks lost at a lot of different variations in the game. Whether it be blocking out, whether it be closing out on a three-point shooter, whether it, affecting a shot and then just standing while the guy goes by him and scores. Is he coming along like you want him to?
Let me say this, and I'm well aware about certain players, certain things. Shoot, I think about it and talk about those things every single day. I don't really think, particularly in college basketball with student athletes, it's appropriate for someone in my position to point the finger at an 18, 19, or 20-year-old kid and say something like, publicly like that. I love Vlad. I think he's a great kid. I think he works really hard. He does all the things that I'm asking him to do with preparation, with training, with workouts, with practices. Unfortunately, it has not translated into a good season. And I look at myself way more than I would look at Vlad. What could I have done differently with his offseason program? What could I have done differently with his mental confidence? What could I have done differently with things? And that was really the genesis of my comments to Jeff after the game. I think there's a lot of things as a whole, and I know there was a big picture question asked earlier. There's a lot of things as a whole that things can start to happen now with questions about different things. And really the only question that is really deservedly so is towards me. I'm the chair of the program, and whatever kind of ups and downs Vlad may have or any other player we may have, that's more a reflection of myself than it is the young man, particularly in a case like Vlad, who I think he's given his heart and soul for 2 years to us and done everything I would have asked him to do. So if the player like that isn't necessarily performing at a high enough level, that's more on myself, I think, than him.
Coach, I know you've already addressed this a little bit with Grammer, but it's playing time, and it seems like around the crowds, and you hear this everywhere. Like even like the other day when McGee came in and made a couple threes and drove and made a layup, and all of a sudden he came out. He's out of the game. And,
sure.
And it's happened quite a bit. Like Bragg's the same thing, and a couple other players where they're really doing good, and then all of a sudden we take them out, and they've only played 3 or 4 minutes.
Sure.
Can you tell me why?
Yeah, I mean, if you'd probably have to give me the specific instances, and then I'd be able to tell you maybe what happened at that point. At the end of the day, as weird as this may sound, I'm still trying to teach. So, if you make several really good plays, but we went into the game saying, look, we have to switch this side ball screen, and you practice it for 3 days, and that person isn't able to execute that in that moment, I've got to get them out of the game. I got to get them in front of a clipboard, and we have to talk about that so that we can learn and go forward. I can't just move it on, and right now we have one senior that's playing, and we have a lot of other guys that just need to learn and grow and get better as basketball players. And I find those moments, particularly in games, particularly with starting, particularly with minutes, those are some of the only things that I can really draw on to get their attention to make that teachable moment. That's very important to me, but sometimes not that always important to a kid who thinks, making the 3-point shot is the highlight of the game, as does their family or whoever else, where to me it's the box out. To me it's the extra pass. To me it's stepping in and taking the charge. There's a lot of little things that maybe I find more important that at times that's why they would get subbed. But if there's a particular instance after a game or a particular moment that someone has a question on, trust me, I've already explained it to them as well. I have no problem explaining, that to other people too.
Talked a lot about just your team responding this year. With the season coming nearing the end, I know it's only 2 days after the loss, but have you seen a different response out of your team? And I mean just the seriousness in your team.
I don't know. We'll find out today. We were off yesterday, so we were traveling. We worked out this morning. We watched film on San Jose, and we're getting into Colorado State this afternoon. I think I've said this pretty much all year long. We'll see Saturday. I'm going to continue to watch a lot of film and coach and teach and just give them everything I have. I'm really hopeful that we're going to practice really well today, really well tomorrow, and compete hard on Saturday. And obviously San Jose was embarrassing in a myriad of ways. I hope to them as well. It was to me, and maybe it'll be a good rallying cry for us on Saturday.
Coach, it's a noble thing to do, to say, it's all on me. Is that you really literally mean that? Or if we ask the players, what can be fixable here if I played harder? Would you get that response that they want some of the responsibility to improve as well? How can it literally be all on you?
Oh, just because I'm the head coach, Henry, and I don't think a accurate narrative right now from our program should be pointed in any other way. I told the guys that after the game, I think, and even our fan base is probably similar to them, and that, like, I don't want this to become something fractured in some way where it's, we can all point fingers to so many different things, and maybe they're accurate, Henry, you know what I'm saying? Maybe it is scheduling, maybe it is recruiting, maybe it is player development, maybe it is budgets, maybe it is all these things, but those inevitably are still me.
How about
So
team commitment? They've committed to you verbally or literally on paper to the other teammates.
sure.
They've made a commitment to be teammates, team members. Do you accept that?
Yeah, I'm the one that brought them here, Henry. You know what I'm saying? So at the end of the day, I just told Lee about Vlad. Like, Vlad's done everything I've asked him to do, and he works really hard, and he does those things. So if for whatever reason, he's going to take some criticism, I don't think that's warranted. I don't think it should be towards Vlad. I think it's towards me. Like, what have you done with Vlad? Why haven't you done more with him? That's just how I look at things. And I have so many coaches, so many friends, mentors. Coach, you're being too hard on yourself, etc. This is just me. You know what I mean? I'm not wired any other way. I don't look at any other things. I'm not going to sit here and vent or distract or divert attention elsewhere or try and do something to either make myself feel better or rationalize things. I'm here to take it on the chin, man, and that's what we did. Hopefully we'll be able to rally here Saturday and play a lot better and grow and learn from this, as hopefully I will. But I just don't feel comfortable doing it another way, and that's just the way it goes.
So you've taken full responsibility for the poor performance of this season. Why has it been so bad?
I think that's probably an end of season thing. I was on the radio this morning, and every time I start to go down a road of starting to think about those things, I have to stop myself, because my loyalty right now is to Colorado State on Saturday night. And as soon as I start to and I think those are powerful moments when you're in an emotional moment. I think that's a powerful time to make notes and learn and grow and reflect on later and pile those up over the course of the season. And at the end of the season, sit down, sift through them, and make the right decisions for this program going forward. But right this very moment, my attention needs to be on Colorado State. And I was the first guy in this morning, and I'm working and I'm doing everything I can to give us our best chance on Saturday night. And that's all I'm going to do between now and Vegas. And I think most of those things are really things to deal with throughout the spring and the summer.
Coach, this might be a defensive philosophy, but when a ball screen comes on a Huggins or a Taylor or a Bowman, and it's the big man, Carlton has a tendency to kind of just drop back.
Mm-hmm.
And I understand that, because that guy's not going to hurt him out there. But, that old show and recover kind of thing, it seems like those guards are getting picked off, and then those three great shooters have open looks.
Sure.
And more often than not, nail those 3-pointers.
Yeah.
Do you want him up more on that pick and roll? Or
the on the ball, I mean, we can get really specific here. The off the dribble three and the catch and shoot three are usually two different percentages from players, and we usually go in playing percentages on guys of off the dribble and off the catch threes. And then depending on that, we'll kind of dictate how they're guarded. Huggins' threes here were off the catch threes, so it was a pass into a shot. Bauman did make, I believe, 2 dribbling beforehand, and we had a coverage for that unfortunately there was kind of a breakdown in.
You guys, despite everything that we all keep asking you
Yeah.
about, we keep answering about, you guys are still top 30 in the country in attendance. Sub 500 team. People seem to be kind of frustrated with what's going on.
Yeah.
And yet you guys are still leading the Mountain West in attendance and top 30 in the country. Can you speak to that a little bit?
I'm the luckiest coach in America. I tell these guys every day they're the luckiest players in America. I don't know what else to say. It's humbling. It is an honor. It's part of what makes this heartache so real, because they're the greatest fans ever. And the negativity or the people that say bad things, like half the time I'm like, you're right. Like, I agree. I'm not bitter about it, negative about it. Like, shoot, I want to win for them more than anything you can ever imagine. We're all really lucky to be a part of this program. It makes you want to turn this thing so much more. And it will continue to drive me every day. I'm thankful for them. I hope they continue to keep coming and supporting us because they're the best. Our fans are awesome, and I love them. I love Albuquerque. My family loves Albuquerque, and hopefully we can give back to them here. If not Saturday night, many Saturday nights going forward as we build the program.
At the beginning of the season, you would talk about Keith McGee and his potential, but then you knew you still had to kind of bring him back a little bit, and he still had to be a little bit more mature. What would you say about his performance as of late, especially the last game?
Yeah, I mean, I think he's individually, when you kind of look at a lot of our guys and maybe where they were expected to be and kind of where they ended up, he's probably the best guy we've had. It's been up and down, but he's a sophomore. He's a kid. He played a half a year of junior college basketball. We brought him in for his potential. I remember when we signed him that he was going to fit into our style, our up and down, our athleticism. He was the perfect kind of head of the whole thing. And he's done more than you could ever imagine, more than I would have even imagined as the season has kind of played out. And to have him for another 2 years is really, really comforting. I feel like we've got a tremendous talent there. There's been some frustrating moments along the way, probably for him. For me, they were just teachable moments as you're trying to grow a really talented young player into hopefully becoming, an all-conference guy down the road. To me, he's a younger version of these guys we see, the Taylors and the Huggins and all these really good young good older players. I think Keith is a younger version of a Watson, a younger version of these guys. And I'm really excited to kind of see him grow into one of those great players, I hope.
Last one.
So, I mean, the whole year you talked about, after a loss or something, you loved how your team looked at practice.
Yeah.
You loved how they responded. I mean, do you see something different once the light comes on? When the lights come on and they go to do you see something in them? Obviously on the court during the game, product isn't what you want it to be. But sometimes, I mean, before the game, do you see something different?
I showed a clip this morning to the guys, and we turned the ball over, and they came down. They made a 3-point shot. The wrong guy takes the ball out of bounds. We're in the wrong spots. We come down, and then we turn it over again. And I explained to them that first turnover was a turnover, and here's how we can correct it. We just can't allow that turnover to then compound with the made three in transition, then compound with the malaise in the next offensive possession, which now turns into another turnover. And that, unfortunately, is what we just haven't been able to break. We haven't been able to break, 1 or 2 bad possessions turning into 4 or 5, or 3 turning into 6, or whatever it may be. And we practice and we preach and we talk and we sub and we do all these different things, but we just haven't been able to crack that this year. And I can sit here and, like I said, I can say, hey, it's inexperience. Hey, they're older than we are, or hey, this. But I think at this point of the year now, man, it's something I've got to get better at. I've got to find a way to get these guys or us to crack those runs earlier, or just those bad segments of play quicker. And that's something that I don't think our effort and practice is necessarily leading to that. It's our ability to deal with adversity and execute more consistently in practice that we're just going to kind of continue to emphasize and hope we see it on the court at some point.
Thanks, Coach.
Thanks, guys.
All right, practice isn't scheduled to start until 3-ish. That may mean film at 3. I'm not quite sure. Anticipated to end around 5. I've talked to some of you about interviews later, so you guys all know. Is anybody planning to come to practice? Isabel's coming, Jeff's coming, Jared's coming. Okay, great. So it's up to you what you want to do in that frame. I don't know, they may not be on the court till 3:30, and they may be off the court anywhere between 4:30 and 5:30. So it's up to you whenever you want to pop in and all that good stuff.
Hey, Jill, the PHE, add that to mine.
I did already.
Did you already get anything?
Oh, well, okay. I added the in front of the email. Maybe if you email me from your email, that'll ensure that I don't make a typo. Because right when you gave me that card, I did it.
Oh, no, I will. Credentials for the tournament?
Those were due a bit ago to the Mountain West, so reach out to Stuart at the Mountain West. I have no say in credentials for the Mountain West tournament. Stuart. Reach out to him, Stuart Buchanan. He'll send you, I sent a link a few times throughout the season of where media goes to request credentials for the Mountain West tournament. So if you have one of those emails, you can find that link, but it may be closed. So you're gonna have to reach out to him specifically.
Okay, so it'll be out of his kindness of his heart.
At this point, I think they were due in early February, so it may be. But you were there last year, he knows who you are, so I would imagine he can squeeze you in if there's the space. It just depends on how much space there is left.
I think they're taking until early March.
Sorry.
March 6th was the
What?
credentials.
Was it?